welcome back to the afternoon session here on Thursday, HECC Day 2, HECC 2024.
Oh, it's been a good day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely a good vibe, good chatter again.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of familiar faces today.
You feel the energy in the room.
It's good to be in person. So, who do we have here this afternoon?
Today we are joined by the amazing, awesome Brad Hagg, who's a board member with Curt and I, but he also represents the IDOE. And we're going to talk a lot about cybersecurity and maybe some other things because we tend to get a little random up here. But we have a great time. So, Brad, we're so happy that you're joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Brad, we know that you do a lot of things for Indiana, and me personally, I'd love to thank you for that. I look up to you all the time. Indiana's in a different place than a lot, just because of you. A lot of things come back to you. I hope you know that. And from the classroom side to tech director role now, it's awesome to watch, and I appreciate what you're doing for our state. But let's start talking in some of the cybersecurity. You ready to go?
Absolutely.
What's a common misconception about cybersecurity in education?
Yeah, I think folks get overwhelmed by how big of a topic it really is. But for me, cybersecurity is really about picking one thing to improve upon and then knocking that off. Cybersecurity is such an endless game. You can invest an insane amount of money. You can invest an insane amount of time in trying to improve your posture. But really, it's about being intentional about picking those things that will make the biggest impact for where your school corporation is and just focusing on that one thing at a time. But if you try to look at the whole picture, many times it just becomes so overwhelming that you just kind of give up and don't do anything. And that's a poor strategy. You need to do something. And so one step helps you to do that.
I was talking, I got the idea of like, how do you eat an elephant?
Right.
One bite at a time.
You
You can't consume it all.
Yeah, and with cybersecurity, it's, let's learn to fly this airplane while it's flying type strategy.
Absolutely.
That's a great answer. Because as one that's been overwhelmed over the last year, looking at our posture and how we're improving, and through some of the resources that are provided by the DOE, we've been able to break it down into a sizable plan for the next year of where we're improving on things. So, definitely awesome.
I'd expand that out to just being an educational technology worker. I mean, you look at everything you have to do, and you know your job better than anybody else that's outside of it. So you see all the things that you don't get to, and we can get self-critical about ourselves sometimes as ed tech experts. But really, we need to give ourselves some grace because we are really doing some great work. It's just we know the field better than anybody else, so we know all the stuff we don't get to. So we ought to all be celebrating the steps we're taking, even if we don't quite get the elephant eaten. We're still taking bites at it.
That's great. Absolutely. That led me to think, like, while you're talking, I work with teachers directly a lot. Mm-hmm. So how can educators who aren't those tech experts, how can they help contribute to a secure school environment?
Well, it's definitely a team sport. And teachers play a very vital role. They play a vital role on several levels. Number one, they as consumers and folks that are using our key IT systems and email, they get so busy taking care of the student needs in their classroom, focusing on the next educational transition that's going to happen. Those emails come in hot and heavy and fast, and they don't always take the time to fully look at those. And the busier they are, the harder it is for them to think intentionally about whether an email is a legitimate email or whether it's a threat. So taking the time to really look at an email, make sure it's from inside your network, especially if it has that sense of urgency or is asking you to do something that just doesn't feel quite right, is an important step. There's a lot of emails that come from the outside that are a threat, and that's exactly what they take advantage of. They know teachers are busy, and they know they don't have time to fully review the message, so they try to create that sense of urgency so you'll click before you think about it. So it's taking that step. But then our teachers really have that vital role in leading our students to being good digital citizens. And it's really about educating the next generation about how to make good choices in their research, but also how to avoid those threats themselves throughout the rest of their lives.
Speaking of cybersecurity for students, what kind of resources do you know about out there for teachers to utilize help take it down to that next level of student.
Yeah, Common Sense Media really has a great library of free resources that teachers can explore to bring those skills to students, both cybersecurity and just general digital citizenship. We've got some great resources just for Indiana. The governor's Indiana Executive Council on Cybersecurity has created a guide for education that's great for parents, students, teachers, administrators. You can find that at in.gov/cyber, and you'll see the Cybersecurity 2.0 guide there. It was just refreshed last year, and a lot of great content that you can throw in newsletters or just review with those different audiences.
Is that the right web address?
That's great.
It just popped up, so that's the web address.
That'll get them straight to it. It's really cybersecurity spelled out, but we made a nice little shortcut with cyber that gets you there.
Perfect. That's great. So,
good thing. So, as one of the HECC OGs, if you could go back in time and attend the first HECC conference, what do you think would surprise you the most about today?
Yeah, I've read a lot of the HECC history. So I'm a little up on some of the things that happened, even though I'm not OG enough to have been there. But it's funny, like the name HECC, they actually intentionally chose that because the acronym was so funny, and then built the name from there. So it started as a special interest group of ICE, the Indiana Computer Educators back in the day, now Connected Educators. And it started really kind of on a bench at that conference. And so just the way it's grown over time, and there's been such key contributors along the way. I think Todd Whitlock was the first one to be a conference chairman that actually brought in the concept of offering an educational tool to attendees. But there's all kinds of old stories about when it was over by the airport, the hotel had like a second-story bathroom where the toilet was falling through the ceiling. It was a smaller venue. It was just a little bit of horribleness as you hear about some of those early days compared to this beautiful space that we get to operate in now. And this place has just such energy and heart just because all the folks have such great memories. And when they come back, they're just really excited to be here.
You know, that's actually goes across vendors and attendees alike. We hear a lot of times from our vendors that this is one of the coolest places they get to come participate in with. And it is. It's a cool building. It is very cool.
It is. And I admit to having a lot of fun with the HECC acronym.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Techie as heck.
Yeah. It's always fun telling people outside the industry that you're going to HECC.
Oh.
So of all the tools, all the ones handed out, and Kyle's done a great job of having a list on the website if we need to jump over there. Which one would have been your favorite? What's your favorite tool?
I did cheat and went back and looked at the list just to try to remember them all. So there you go.
Cheating, it's using your resources.
That's right. I definitely use my resources. I am a terrible note taker. Number one, I'm not good at writing down the right things. And number two, half the time, because my handwriting is so terrible, I can't read what I wrote. So the LiveScribe pen back in 2008 was magnificent for me because it recorded what was going on around me as I was taking that note. And so later on, I could actually tap what I wrote and hear what was going on in the meeting that I was in. So that was like a lifesaver. Like, I still need that. Like, I think they still sell them. I'm not sure. But that was great. Over the years, like when we would do tools that people looked at and said, that's just a gaming device, or that's just a fun device, you can't use that for learning. I always enjoyed us bringing those in and then having sessions about how you can use them with students educationally. And that to me is great because that's the intersection of kids being excited about a tool or a device, and then also showing them an educational purpose for it that makes it bring the learning up a notch. So that was always kind of my favorites. The PSP was a great year. I had fun playing some games, and we saw the educational use.
So, we've talked a lot about how great HECC is. It's wonderful. It's a long 3 days.
Yeah.
Socializing, the learning, we get that cognitive overload. So if you had to put together your HECC survival kit, what 3 items would absolutely have to be in it?
Oh, man. I would definitely have the HECC app on a mobile device, because if you're a newbie to this conference, it's a little hard figuring your way around this place. And there are great maps in that application that'll help you get there. And you can see all your sessions. You can find exhibitors that are here. So that app is invaluable. Number two would be a refillable water bottle. You're going to talk and walk a lot. So having water on the scene constantly is critical, and to keep yourself hydrated. And then I think the last thing I would make sure I brought is some business cards, because you're going to have some conversations with people and show that you're an expert in an area, and they're going to say, hey, can I follow up with you? And you're going to want to hand them something so that you can keep that conversation going. So those would be my 3 top items.
Those are fantastic items.
Absolutely. And it's true. You normally walk home with somebody's contact information that you didn't have.
Yeah.
And blossom a good relationship.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Indiana DOE has received several recognitions for cybersecurity, which is totally awesome. Great leadership there. What do you think has set your team's approach apart to win these awards?
Yeah, I think the key thing that we've done that's a little different than a lot of places is we've focused on the people. And I've always said Indiana's a special place. I mean, we are so good at collaborating and talking and sharing best practices. The HECC list has been such a incredible central driver of that. And then the organizations in the state that are carrying those conversations on all year round. So really, I've just taken that model and put it at the state level, try to highlight best practices and try to share information equally statewide. Cybersecurity information is a little bit like cybersecurity projects. There's a deluge constantly of new information coming out, new resources. So I've really tried to break it down into smaller pieces to feed it to professionals that I know are incredibly busy. And I think that's had a really good impact. I think folks are resonating with the message. I send out an email for the 13th time, and I think everybody in the state hates me. And then the next time, on the 14th attempt, somebody emails me back and says, that's great new information. Thanks so much for sharing that. So everybody's busy, and you can't over communicate. So I think that's where we've had some successes. And Indiana's doing great things. So when I get to talk about that on the national level, the awards just come because people are amazed at what's going on in the state.
There's something to be said between that Hoosier hospitality, which we're known for, and then what it has helped us leverage in our K-12 space.
For sure.
There's lots of movies about cybersecurity. So I'm chasing down which one would be your favorite, most accurately gets it right. What's going on?
Okay, well, I'm going to be geeky and self-serving here, but I'm going to say the state offers KnowBe4 to all of our schools for free. And inside of KnowBe4, there are 2 incredible series that I love. One of them's called The Inside Man, and The Inside Man is a drama that teaches folks about cybersecurity. But the drama part of it's so good that you forget that you're doing an educational video until you get to the end and they go, remember, don't forget to do these things. And then you're like, oh yeah, they were teaching me something as I was being entertained there. So that one's really good, The Inside Man. And then the second one is called Little Fish, which is a little bit like a British version of The Office. And they teach cybersecurity lessons as you go through it as well. So very good resources from KnowBe4 there.
That would be great.
Well, we're going to probably wrap up a little bit early here because we have our annual meeting coming up here at 3:30, and all 3 of us would like to attend. We got time for just a couple more questions.
Awesome.
That might be a good question. The annual meeting for new members is always like, do I go? Do I not go? What is it? So, Brad, you're the best person. I think of you as the HECC historian because you have done research. Yeah.
Well, the meeting is better than it's ever been, to be honest with you. It's we keep the business stuff to a minimum. So, again, this is a great place to talk to people and to relax and enjoy each other's company. And the meetings become that. So, we do some business. We there's some things that we have to do just for as an organization, some reports we have to share with the membership and all that. But literally that takes less than 5 or 10 minutes to get through the blah stuff. And then we get to really recognize some fantastic people in the state that have done great work. We give away one award in memory of Carrie Rombach, who is an incredible member of our HECC board for many years, passed away from cancer, and she just had a heart for people and for students in education. And so we give away an award that recognizes someone who's really made an impact by either contributing on the listserv or just to individual tech directors offline or people in their own district. So we enjoy recognizing somebody in her name. We then give away our Technology Coordinator of the Year, which is our opportunity to recognize the technology leader in the state that has made an incredible impact. And then we, in the recent years, have added a third award that's selected just by the HECC board. We go back through history and try to find influencers whose influence and reach have just really expanded almost beyond the state borders throughout their career. They've just made an indelible impact on generations of folks in Indiana educational technology. And so we get to recognize that person as well. And it's just great. The last two awards are surprise awards, so we don't tell people ahead of time. We really don't for any of them, but we actually arrange the families of the last two awardees to be there, and the awardees most of the time don't know it. So the awardees just sitting in the room, and they start to hear themselves being talked about, and then as they go up on the stage, they watch their family walk forward, and they see them for the first time. And they get really emotional.
I'm getting emotional just listening.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional talking about it. As a guy I've won the Technology Coordinator of the Year award, and I should have understood that I was probably going to get it. I had no clue. So I mean, it's just an amazing thing to recognize those folks and to celebrate the impact that they've had. But it makes all of us and highlights the work for all of us. And then we read a proclamation from the governor, and then we have a big party at the end. We actually have snacks and drinks and just get to hang out for a little bit and talk before everybody heads out to their favorite vendor.
Everybody's welcome. It's not
no,
an event.
No,
everybody can come and do that networking and be social, because I've met a lot of people here. Randomly, I saw a former student who I didn't even know was in ed tech. One year. It was so nice.
And probably we should say, too, the most important thing that you can do is get inside your HECC app and vote for your board member selections, because this organization is great because of the constant new blood that we get in new board members, and really appreciate the quality candidates that we have up for election this year. So I hope that everyone gets the opportunity to select the person that they feel best represents them in their geographical area. We pick folks from each area code band, north, south, and central. And then we have an at-large member that gets the highest votes from all of those bands that wasn't selected in the first round. So we really do get the best of the best when you all contribute.
And man, I consider it an honor to serve on this board.
It's incredible.
The thought, the intentionality, the ethical thought processes, the procedures that are in place that ensure, I appreciate it all. I love this conference, but then being on this board, you just get a whole different view, and to work with incredible people like you guys is just something else.
It's amazing.
Well, Brad, we really appreciate you jumping on here with us. Always have fun with the time. And if anybody has any cybersecurity questions, now you know who to reach out to.
Yeah, remember, you can also go to this link and get a lot of information
and check out the movies on Know Before. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
And then one more time, there's that code if you're playing along on the games. There's your code for Thursday, first odd. So thanks, Brad.
My
for
pleasure.
spending time with us. This is a great way to wrap up day 2 before we go celebrate at the annual meeting, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks for all you guys are doing.
See you at the meeting.